Okay, this is the solution for MarksMetals, and I'd like you to use to print off this sheet so you have it on the side. I'm not going to be able to leave this here and solve it at the same time, so I'm going to put this on the side, but you follow along yourself. Okay, if you don't have it printed yet or have it up on your screen, maybe you can split the screen. I'll pause it here and then print. Okay, but I'm going to get started. Now, when it comes to cost of goods manufactured, you can be pretty sure that you'll have a problem like this on the first exam, right? Real good chance. And the exam will not just have multiple choice on it. It'll be there'll be several problems that you'll have to do too. So the first thing you want to get in your head is the format. Okay, and for your format, you want to think of cost of goods manufactured. And what you have is, first of all, everything that's been added to the system first. So we added direct materials, direct labor, and then some manufacturing overhead. Okay? And you can call this costs added. Because the hardest thing sometimes for me on these problems, costs added or incurred, is knowing what label to use on a statement. Okay, you can't leave numbers hanging out there. They've got to have actual names. So costs added or incurred. To that, we're going to add work in process. All right, and that gives us costs to account for. All right, once we've got costs to account for, we can subtract ending work in process, EWIP, and that gives us cost of goods manufactured. Okay, so first of all, the cost that you added, direct material, direct labor, and overhead, and then we're going to have to, that's costs added. To that we add our beginning work in process. Let's call that BWIP, beginning work in process. So that's what we've got to account for. What happened to all those costs? I'll subtract my ending work in process, and that's cost of goods manufactured. Now, this looks simpler than what's in the textbook because I left off some little sub-formulas here, but these are the easy ones. Like for direct material, you're going to have a beginning direct material plus purchases will give you available for sale or available for use minus ending is raw material or direct material used. Okay, used. For beginning work in process, we've got our beginning less the ending, so that's taken care of. But for this statement, that's the only one that you're going to add into. Okay, so now let's look at the statement itself. I gotta see where we are here. Let's look at the statement. I'm looking at something the size of a postage stamp to see this. So let's have, first of all, our direct materials. So you've got your problem on one side, and you've got a blank sheet of paper where you're going to write out the solution over here. So we've got direct materials are 40,000, and I would put them out here on the side, and then have increasing detail to the left. So we need a dollar sign because it's the first number in a column. I'm going to add purchases. Purchases are 460,000, and that gives us goods available for use. Available for use are 500,000, less ending. These are actually direct materials, okay? Ending direct materials of 50 gives us direct material used. Okay? And think about that word used. That's what that is. So pull that way out to 450. Then to that, we've got to add direct labor. So you got to find direct labor. And direct labor is 300,000. And now overhead, and normally this is going to be an allocated number, but right now they're using actual indirect labor, so we'll call this indirect manufacturing cost. And they've got a bunch of them here. We've got sandpaper. Sandpaper for $2,000. I hope you can see this. I'm going to slide it up a little bit. Okay, sandpaper for $2,000. Material handling. Anything that sounds like it has to do with the plant, okay? $70,000 with the plant, because if you purchase these things completed, you wouldn't need a plant. All right, so anything that you've got that keeps that plant operating and helps produce your product has to be, if it's not a direct material or direct labor, then it's an overhead. They've got lubricant and coolant. Lubricant and coolant for $5,000. And then miscellaneous indirect labor. Indirect labor, and remember that indirect materials and indirect labor are both, overhead costs. All right, they're a product cost. $40,000. Plant leasing. Anything with the word plant in it gets here. So we've got plant leasing for $54,000. Plant depreciation. Actually, they call it depreciation plant, but that's okay. $36,000. Plant taxes. Okay, taxes are $4,000. And what else do we have? Insurance on the plant. Plant insurance. Okay, and the point is anything with the word plant in it has got to be a product cost. Okay, plant insurance and the plant $3,000. All right, so my total costs here are $214,000. So you see what we have. We've got raw material used plus direct labor. These don't exactly line up, do they? And there's in total indirect manufacturing costs. And what this total is manufacturing costs incurred. Manufacturing cost incurred. And of course it didn't fit, but that's $964,000. Okay, so to that, now I'm going to add so we are up there. We just have to do our work in process bit and we're all set. We've got to add beginning work in process. I'm going to just call it WIP, okay? Beginning work in process, and that is $10,000, which gives us cost to account for. And that is $974,000. Subtract ending work in process, then you run out of space. Ending work in process. Ending work in process is $14,000. And I'm doing this for myself. You wouldn't do this on a financial statement, but I just want to make sure that I'm not going in the wrong direction. And see, I can be sneaky. I can add a little bit more space here. And that gives us cost of goods manufactured. Cost of goods manufactured, which is $960,000. Okay, double underscore, another $sign. We need a $sign here as well. Okay, alrighty. One thing I did want to say is make sure that you practice a lot of these problems. If you had any trouble remembering any of this, or you know how this tends to fall out of our heads if we're not using it all the time, make sure that you do it until it's just second nature to you, okay? There are a million problems out there like this to do, and there are more at the end of the module with all the solutions. Okay.